Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
How are terrorist groups in Africa able to finance their operations, and who, if anyone, is supporting them? My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News Channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. Now, this question was recently raised by Nigerian General Christopher Musa after captured Boko Haram fighters were found in possession of large sums of hard currency. Now, this isn't a random occurrence, but when we look at the level of organization and logistics required to maintain a violent campaign for 15 years, it becomes clear that we're not dealing with a ragtail battalion or a group of disorganized rebels. No. The scale of Boko Haram's operations suggests a deeper, more complex network of support. So, where's this money coming from, and who is behind it?
We've seen Boko Haram regroup and regroup and regroup. What is your answer to that? That you have in some way fed the insurgents?
The problem is that I think we've talked to international community. Let's find out the funding. When they started surrendering, by the time we left, so as we speak, we have over 120,000 that have surrendered. Most of them, when you find them, they are coming with hard currencies. How did they get them? How are they funded? How did they get the training? How did they get the equipment?
What is your suspicion?
Well, maybe an international conspiracy. You don't know. Who knows? How are they be able to sustain themselves for 15 years? That is one question I think everybody should ask himself. For Nigeria to be able to hold them, and you go to Nigeria, everything seems to be working well.
You must have an idea. I mean, let's not talk about international conspiracy theories. Let's give some hard facts.
Well, I just leave it at that. I'm sure they know, and I'm sure everybody knows that these are the challenges we're facing, that needs to be addressed. So the UN need to come in to ensure that, because we need to trace the funding. How are they sustaining themselves for 15 years?
What does the UN coming in mean? What does that look like?
Track the funding. It's international flow. We don't have control over that.
Whose interest is it to see Nigeria destabilized?
Well, I don't know. You don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Now, if we take a step back and look at the broader context here, the history of terrorism in Africa shows us that foreign interference has played quite a significant role, which a prime example is the Sahel crisis, which took root in the chaos that followed the 2011 NATO-backed intervention in Libya. Muammar Gaddafi, a man who was often seen as a Pan-African icon, was overthrown by forces armed and funded by Western powers. After the dust settled, those same forces, if well-equipped and financed, trickled south into the Sahel, sparking what we now call the epicenter of terrorism in Africa. And countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, which were once peaceful, have become battlegrounds for armed groups. Let's watch this video.
And then Obama killed Gaddafi. And then nothing has happened. We're here today with Libya being destroyed and unable to recover because of America. We know very well that where NATO gets involved, those are terrorists. We know very well where the US says we're going in to install peace. That place will never know peace as long as America has visited that place.
And I hope everyone is aware that we are no longer in a war on terrorism, but in a war of independence. Everyone must understand that it is a strategy for the imperialists to impose this war on us. Normally, every leader, every ruler should fight for their country. It's a strategy. They fight for their interests, and we must also fight for our interests. If we manage to develop, to prosper, it means that over there, they will not be able to develop. They will have to regress. If we manage to transform our raw materials tomorrow, it means that over there, factories will close. Do you understand the logic? So it's normal that they fight to disrupt our society, to keep it in this constant war, so that we can never think about developing one day. And then they will continue to develop, while we will still be here exporting our raw materials to them and our youth, suffering in poverty, trying to cross the ocean to go beg over there. They always take examples. They will tell us, Thomas Sankara tried to do it like this, but where is he? He is dead. The Haitian president, he tried to do it like this. Where is he? He is dead. Gaddafi tried like this. Where is he? He is dead. These are the veiled statements made to us to instill fear. If we remain in this posture of fear, we will be cowards, and history will judge us. Our children will ask questions. Our grandchildren will ask questions. We are writing history. There is no room for cowardice.
But it doesn't even end there. As an African, it is deeply troubling to witness how foreign powers have repeatedly played a role in destabilizing our continent. Whether it's the West's support for forces in Libya, these foreign interventions have created lasting chaos. And what's even more concerning is the possibility that some of these powers continue to support extremist groups in Africa, whether directly or indirectly. In fact, there's a growing body of evidence that suggests this. Take the example of Mali, where the government directly accused France of violating Malian airspace and delivering weapons to armed groups in 2022. This wasn't just a one-off accusation. It was actually part of a pattern that points to a far more complex web of support for terrorism. Now, I think the real question is, who is funding this, and why does it continue to thrive despite the massive international efforts to counter it? It's impossible to deny the external forces, if you ask me, whether it's the governments, the organizations, or even private sectors. They have actually played a huge role in enabling these groups. And it could be through direct financing, armed deals, or covert support. Whatever the method, the fact remains that Boko Haram's longevity and strength can't be explained by local resources alone.
Who gets some of that money? Does that name ring a bell to anybody in the room? Because your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding. If you think that the program under Operation Enduring Sentinel entitled Women's Scholarship Endowment, which receives $60 million annually, or the Young Women Lead, which gets about $5 million annually, is going to women who, by the way, if you read the Inspector General's report, is telling you that the Taliban does not allow women to speak in public. Yet somehow you're believing, and American people are supposed to believe, that this money is going for the betterment of the women in Afghanistan. It is not. You are funding terrorism, and it's coming through USAID. And it's not just Afghanistan, because Pakistan's right next door. USAID spent $840 million in the last 20 years on Pakistan's education-related program. It includes $136 million to build 120 schools, of which there is zero evidence that any of them were built. Why would there be any evidence? The Inspector General can't get in to see them. But you know what? We doubled down and spent $20 million from USAID to create educational television programs for children unable to attend the physical school. Yeah, they can't attend it because it doesn't exist. You paid for it. Somebody else got the money. You are paying for terrorism. This has got to end. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
But Africa is waking up. We are starting to recognize the forces at play and demand accountability. Leaders like Traore are opening our eyes more and more. And so we cannot continue to allow our land, our people, and our future to be used as pawns in a global game of power. African countries must work together, and not just to fight terrorism, but to uncover and dismantle the networks that enable it. Like Traore said, we owe it to ourselves, and most importantly, to our children, to uncover the truth. What are your thoughts on this? Let's continue the conversation in the comment section. I really like to hear what your thoughts are. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video